Hello, everybody. Hi, Judy. Hi, Gray. Hi, Cricket. Jessica. Gail. Joaquin. Ellen. Hello. Let me make sure that I am on properly. Yes, I'm on, and I think that my camera is not perfectly focused. Give me just a second here. To get everything working properly. Sometimes I cannot see exactly what's going on until I start actually broadcasting, because what looks okay in my controls here doesn't look the same on screen on YouTube. There we go. Okay, now I hope that everybody is okay. Hi, Cindy, the two Donnas, and Luan. No. When I was scheduling this, I realized that there's actually two kind of egg holders that you can make. You can make egg holders for when you eat a boiled egg. And then you can also make egg holders for the decorative eggs that you might have, even if you have the regular natural eggs that are painted, or if you have your polymer clay made eggs. Hi, Beth. So the whole idea is that, because I got asked before when I was making this kind of stuff, is polymer clay safe for making hard-boiled egg holders? Well, as long as you keep, because normally when you eat an egg, right, you put it in the egg holder like this with the pointy part down, and then you kind of knock a little bit and make an opening on the thick part where normally is the little air pocket. So the polymer clay does not touch the contents of the egg. It only touches the eggshell. So yeah, it's perfectly safe to make a boiled egg holder out of polymer clay. Now, what you have to think about is that obviously your egg holder should be deep enough to hold the egg. So once again, it's easy when we have this kind of eggs, because you have the part for the thicker, the half for the thicker part of the egg and the half for the pointy part of the egg. So obviously you can simply break the egg, the plastic egg here, and use this for a baking blank. Hi, Laura. Hi, Beth. Hi, Laos. Hi, Isabel. So how do you do it though? Because I'm gonna be very honest with you, these eggs, these plastic eggs that you find in commerce, you have to be very careful when you make egg holders for real boiled eggs out of them, because they are practically the size of what used to be small eggs in the US and now is sold as grade A. But if you have a larger egg, you cannot really use this. So you might want to make 2 or 3. And for this, what you need to have to keep in mind is that, yeah, for the regular smaller egg, you can simply cover the pointy part, just cut it from here and then bake it, and then we'll make something else. But if you want to make something, if you normally buy like farm eggs or large eggs or jumbo eggs, we can do, I'll show you several ways of making it, but I want to show you something very easy to make. Okay, and most of us have lots and lots of scrap clay. So if you want to make a little bit larger one, what you need to do, this one is not properly done, just a second. So get your scrap clay on the thicker setting on the pasta machine, and then fold it. Make sure you don't have any air pockets, but don't leave it in two like this. Make sure that you flatten it a bit, because otherwise it's going to be only for the super jumbo eggs. So flatten it a bit, so essentially it would be about 1.5 your thickest setting on the pasta machine. And then measure to have on one side, on the other side, on the other side, on the other side, that make sure that it will come to the edges. And to make it easier to see, let me do a more of a squarish shape. So what you want to do, bring these together up, bring these together up, then turn it. And now you can gently start manipulating the clay. Because remember, I told you, you manipulate the clay does not manipulate you. Oh yes, I remember, Joaquin. Oh my God, I think I have a Gulliver's Travels somewhere in the house. I need to look for it. It's been so long since I read that one. I remember that, and it was about all these. I mean, of course, the Gulliver's Travels. It's a parable, the whole thing, about all the religious, and not just religious, but most of the times it was religious wars. Like, you know, I know that I say no, don't bring religion, but here I'm talking about history. Like, if you might on a way understand a little bit the various religious wars that happened throughout history between countries that had completely different religions, I do not understand the wars that took place in countries that were both Christians. You know, like you had the San Bartholomew's massacre between the Catholics and the Protestants and all that. I mean, to me, it's so stupid. But we all know that it's not about religion, it's about money, so it's the exact same thing. It's about power. Okay. So once you get it pretty much all of your clay, and very careful, don't check when you're doing this, you need to do it gradually so that you don't trap air. So once you got everything, in the end, I usually first use, because it depends on how much you left here, but I first use for a rough trim. And see, I never managed to get to Hobby Lobby to get another one of these ones. Too late one. No, huh? So I do this first, and then I'll get my X-Acto knife and do a more precise trim. And then you make sure that it is all nice and good. But as I said, you might want to make several. You can even double it in a less thickness, just to have several um, sizes of eggs that you usually buy. I know that I normally buy the large and the cage free. I have also a friend who has chickens, and she brings me fresh chicken eggs for Whisper. Okay, and then once you have that done, remember this will be your baking blank. Okay, so give me just a second. Let me get this in the oven and get the one that I already have in the oven, so we can go further and I can show you how to make the baking blank for the egg holder, because this is going to be the baking blank for the egg holder. Just a second. Hi, Anna. Oh yes, there's a lot of oh, they do? I'm gonna have to look. There's a lot of futuristic books, and not just books but movies too. And I was thinking, the future right now belongs to the one who figures out the fastest how to employ people working from home, including in manufacturing and everything. Well, if you don't have plastic eggs, it's gonna be hard. What you can do, let me think. I think that you could, let me think, get an egg, make a hole at the bottom, empty it, then use not these big scissors but the little scissors for cuticles, and trim the shell underwater very, very gently, and then fill the egg with salt and put tape over it, and then you can use the egg itself. You can use the hard-boiled egg, but you have to make sure that you break it, because otherwise it's gonna explode, and also it's gonna stink, and it might stink your oven for days to come. So I would go with the egg filled with salt, most likely. Or you can make no, you don't have this. You can try and make a mold out of an egg, I would think. You could try to do that, because anything that's soft enough to do a mold with, if you have online, you can get them. I got mine online on Amazon, and especially after Easter, there are gonna be a lot of them. And I told you I'm going to make a few Fabergé type tutorials, because you can do those and make really, really pretty stuff. Okay, now this is still a little bit hot, but in order to create this, to use this as a baking blank, we need aluminum foil. And you can use it just simple, or you can double it. What I would recommend is if you double it with the shiny, facing out. And I usually, for the polymer clay stuff, I always use the cheapest, crappiest, thinnest aluminum foil. It does the best for what I need to do. It's still a little hottish. And once you covered it with aluminum foil, you need to flatten up all these. It doesn't take a long time, and you want to make this as flat as possible also. It does not take a whole bunch of time, but flatten them as much as you can. And simply just keep going over and over and over. Yeah, there's also what we call here Dutch ducks. I think that might be the same thing. Or Russian ducks, Moscow ducks. I forgot how they're called. The ones I know in Romania they are called Polish ducks. The ones that have a bald head. They are kind of ugly, but they are excellent for getting rid of insects in your garden and for laying eggs. They are really, really good about that. Okay, and once you did that, you can, of course, take your time and make this as flat as you can make it. Okay. Why flatten? Because otherwise when you put clay over it, every little fold is going to get ingrained in the clay, and it will be a pain to take it off the mold. As I said, we are going to use this as a baking blank. So practically do as much as you can in terms of flattening. Then you can use the scrap clay that afterwards you can paint, or you can use directly some pearlescent. Let me grab some gold here, because I got some gold. And also because, as I said, I'm going to show you also how to make a more elegant one, not just a super simple one. So let me grab this. And once again, place it down and make sure that, okay, I didn't cut properly. I need this one. Make sure that the sides, all the sides reach to the edge. And because I want this to be on the other side. Don't do this. Once you got a fold, remove what creates the fold and start pressing on these areas where the fold kept coming up. Don't try pushing the fold in by itself. Just gently work on manipulating the clay so that it would go in as you want it. And again, bring everything nicely towards the top. Now remember that for the boiled egg holder, thank you. For the boiled egg holder, you have to make it in a not very 3D decorated, and make it in such a way that you can wash it often, because we are talking about food here and you don't want to make something that might get bacteria on it when you're every time you're eating. You want to be able to sanitize it. Okay, now let's do it. If you have problems figuring out the edge, put less aluminum foil on the egg. Put just one layer, and that way you'll have your edge without all these little things that I got here. It will be flatter and you'll be able to cut the edge much easier instead of eyeballing like I do, because it takes a while. It takes a little bit of experience to do all this kind of stuff. Now, let me get this back together. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Emily. And let me do this again. Now, there are a lot of corners molds out there. Okay, and they go from cheaper to more expensive. Let me grab a few to show you. So this would be for a more elegant stuff. Number one, you have the barrettes of makings. Then there is a flourish corner on the flowers makings. See, there's a corner right here. I got some paint on this, but there's this corner right here that also can be used to make the legs, and I'll show you with each of them. So let me show you actually with these how you can do it. So one of the things would be, let me cover one. Because I don't want to mess this up until the other one is ready to come out. Okay, so let's grab and make real quick. This will be smaller, but just to show you how to work with this stuff. Oh, I am glad that you managed to get online too, Emily. And see, when I do this, I kind of bring from the bottom up to avoid catching ear pockets. I started saying ear bubbles, ear pockets at the same time, and it came up ear buggles. Oh well. Okay, so the rough trim, and then check it one more time, and then a fine trim. Now, how can you use these for a more elegantish holder? Number one, let's get this. Okay, if we get this, and there are actually quite a bit of cheaper molds with all kinds of decorations, but I'll show you with several of them. The makings are a little bit harder. They are push molds, but they are a little bit harder to work with because they are of this crap cheapo plastic. So they are harder to trim properly when you get the stuff out of them. It can still be done. I mean, you can definitely still work with them. Not as easy with the rubber and silicone molds, though. And I cannot believe that Finnegan is still sleeping and didn't figure out that I'm online. He's on the cat tree. I can see his little fox, silver fox, Arctic fox tail coming out. Okay, don't I have them? Now, your best bet of all of these kind of molds, your best bet is the iron orchid molds, which are about the most expensive on the market for this type of decorations, and I will show you how to do. But if you want to start making this kind of stuff and selling it, then it is a worthy investment. So you grab the, come on, get out. You grab the mold. But as I said, you don't have to work with the most expensive necessarily if you have the cheaper ones. Most of the makings and of the IOD I get from PolyClay, but sometimes she doesn't have just everything. And this is a very soft scrap clay because I've been messing up with it like forever. So you get something like this. And what you need to do, you need to get yourself a square piece of scrap. Initially, you get a square piece, then you flatten a little bit the top of it and you put it on the square piece. I'm not doing that right now because, as I said, I want to show you several things at the same time. But let me grab this. So let's say that this is a scrap, square piece of scrap. You place your thing like this. This would be to show decorative Fabergé style eggs. You press it a little bit and then you bake it. And then after you bake it, you can use something like this to make it look like a real jewelry-like type box something. Or your other way of doing it, you can use one of these barrettes, or you can simply use a plain straight line before doing anything else. So instead of the square thing, your other because you need to make sure that first of all this will sit properly upright, right? So your first thing would be, let me see if I have one here. I don't want to get up too many times. I don't. Let's consider this a metal circle cutter, okay? Let's say that this is a metal circle cutter. Actually, no, let me get a metal circle cutter because it's easier to show you that way. And you can get one smaller or you can get one larger, depending on how tall you want your thing to be. And you place this, but first of everything, you can place just a thin scrap of clay, and then place this. Just make sure that it comes all the way to where and then decorate after it's all baked, you know, remove the cutter. Or you can excuse me, you can cover entirely the cutter, and as I said, you can choose to make it taller like this, or you can choose to make it more stocky like this. And yes, you can make miniature cups like this if you want to make them you know, kind of like chalices and stuff. It is a good way to create that. Hi, Liana. So you decorate those, but let me show you what other good things you can use. Because I know I have some corners here. Okay, this is one of the best iron orchid designs that you can get for this type of decorative objects. Excuse me. Of course, you can see it does have some shellfish and stuff too, but all these, because they are so deep, you actually, and I'm going to show you a different way of making these little legs for the egg holder. And you'll see how much easier it goes when you have a professional stuff. Thank you, Liana. Okay, so let me get this back. So you use a cosmetic sponge to, or you can use wax paper to press that inside. And just use a blade pivoting to get rid of all the extra polymer clay. That's your best bet. Make sure it's all of it is inside. And then I have some extra here. And then do once like this, once like this. And remember, I didn't use any kind of release agent on this one. Now we got this, right? Look what happens. But of course, you're going to need a little holder. And the only important thing here is to make sure that you place your holder right in the middle, so your little egg holder won't go tipsy. But as I said before, you first go with the thing that said that this is actually clay, right? Because you won't leave the cutter there, right? After you have placed your strip of clay, you remove the cutter. No, that's an IOD. It's not a Cool Tools. Cool Tools doesn't have a lot of molds. Cool Tools has textures, essentially. But I might be wrong, you know, I'll have to go check, but as if the way that I remember it, it's an IOD. IOD has a whole bunch of molds for decorating, home decorating and making decorative objects. So theoretically, you have put your strip of clay here. All right, and this is going to be your base. And I'm not gonna go to make it super duper nice. It's just to give you the whole idea about how to make this kind of stuff. And then when you come, so normally you'd remove this. Come on, come out, come out. So you'd have something like this, right? And the way that you do it, you place this here, and then here, and then you bake it like this. And then when you're done, you'll have all these beautiful little legs. Of course, instead of this, you can use something that's a little bit more upwards, like, let's get this upwards fleur-de-lis here. But you can use any of these, and these are not the only molds that have this. There are a lot of them, but your best bet is Iron Orchid Designs, IOD molds. Yeah, there are very few for actual clay and polymer clay. These are actually more for resin than for clay, for decorative, that 5 minutes resin. They are for placing all kinds of decorations on furniture and boxes and walls and switch plates and you name it. But if you get a taller, one of these taller decorations, you make sure that it's perfectly straight here, and then gently lift it and bake it like this. And you have all these beautiful, because they are made, the molds are made to look like antique metal stuff. So once you get on this, and then you grab a little bit of mica powder or whatever you can use. Okay, give me just a second. So you can find them. You have links in the video description with pretty much everything. Let me see. And there are a lot of the IOD molds that can be used for this kind of stuff. Not necessarily this specific one, but this specific one, yes, it is on the I got it from Trish. Oh, give me just a second. You can just simply follow the links in the video description. If you go here, you scroll down, you'll see it's called Seashore Treasures. It's one of the redesign molds of Iron Orchid Designs. And there are also some smaller. It is an expensive mold. As I said, Iron Orchid Designs are expensive molds. But it is a good investment if you intend to do a whole bunch of stuff, because on top of everything, you can redecorate your whole furniture, make new cabinet pulls and all kinds of things. But if you look on that page, you'll see that there are some that are smaller and have this kind of stuff. There is a Renaissance one that's in the greenish colors. That's a big one for only $13.99, but then there are for $6.99. There are smaller ones that only have one element, and you can get one of the smaller ones to do these kind of things. But the keyholes works beautiful for this. And then also, let me see, where's in my Amazon influencer store? But I will be using some of these more posh molds when I'll do the Fabergé style egg. And also I have in plan some jewelry boxes. So let me see what I got in here. Give me just a second. I do not have the seashore treasures, but I have a few other ones. I'm gonna look again. I know that I didn't add the seashore treasures at the time in the influencer store because I could not find it I could not find it on Amazon. So, but if you go into my Amazon influencer store, scroll down until you find the molds section, and when you go to the molds section, the IOD designs are pretty much the last ones. And let me actually see if these are even still in, or if I need to. Yeah, no, I need to go back because a lot of them are not available anymore. But at Trish, most of them you get them cheaper than on Amazon. So I will update the Iron Orchid. It's their store, so it's Prima marketing store. So I'll have to see what I can still find from them on Amazon. So essentially this is how we are going. Let me go real quick because I know that my oven beeped, so let me go grab the other egg. Okay, and once again, because I know I get a lot of messages after these lives, what I'm using for working, it is a very wide, see, it's like from here to here, and it's like from here to here, marble tile that can be found at Lowe's. And I think I paid $5.75 for it, actually broadcasted live when I went to Lowe's to get it. Okay, now let me hurry up and I'll show how to make the whole Fabergé egg and the holder for it in a later tutorial, but right now I'm going to try and hurry up so I can finish something, you know, so at least show you how to finish a regular egg holder, because I'm starting to feel that my back is starting to crap on me. So we can do, you can actually do this kind of design, simple, for your egg holder. The other kind of design that you can do is, I forgot to get something. Using a wider thing, just a simple toilet paper roll. Okay, so the way you do it, when you create directly. Let me see, it's good. How did I do it? I pretty much cut one of these used toilet paper rolls in half. This is very comfortable for kids because it's a little bit more secure, and you can place another ring of wider polymer clay so it would be less toppling, but this is the more secure and easier to clean way of making the hard-boiled egg, the regular holder that you should be able to clean perfectly. And you can excuse me, you can add this before you even bake this part. You can add the toilet paper roll, half roll. So that you'll have a perfect blank for making these directly. What the heck? Hold on a second. I thought I heard somebody in my backyard. And the same, you simply flatten this part until you don't have folds. It's going to take a while to perfectly flatten this. But it's completely worth it. And the other thing, when you feel that you're not able to take it out, your best bet is that you can start pulling on the, because you can reapply the aluminum foil. You just simply pull on this and then you can start scraping the inside bits, and if you want for it to look absolutely gorgeous, you can just put another little layer of very thin polymer clay inside. But this will be your other shape. And I'm not showing you any kind of surprises, but this coming a week, I'm going to post the first part of a so-called Fabergé, And actually it's going to be not just a regular egg, but it's going to be a little box, jewelry box. And then we'll talk about making the, I'll give you all the tips about making the holder for it. And this I'm going to show you how to combine, how to create a cane that you can combine so that it will be one of those tricks the eye things that will make it look like a gradient, but it will make it look like stone, so that you can make a pretty. So yeah, no, I forgot. Don't add this until you make this, because you're gonna need the hollow for the egg to sit in. So don't add this until you already have this blank. But we'll talk about this more next Sunday, because we are going to do this next Sunday. And we are going to cover it. That cane is very easy to make. It looks like stone. It's very easy to create in a variety of colors, and you can make quite elegant. Just don't use them as shots or drinking glasses, because it's still polymer clay. The only thing that you can do to make them more, if you want to use them as, you will be able to use something like deep shine, for example, or some kind of resin, but not even that. I wouldn't really recommend you to do that. That is just for decoration. It's not for actual use to eat something from it. You can eat a hard-boiled egg because the polymer clay does not touch the inside of the egg, but this way you can make some really, really pretty stuff. And we will make I'll put a tutorial on a Fabergé type egg that you can use. And again, as I said, I'm going to use a more posh mold, because as much as I'm trying to use stuff that is cheaper, sometimes, you know, if you want to make something that's really, really beautiful and unique and everything, you need to use something that is a little bit more out of the ordinary. And again, I'm going to try. I cannot promise. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I'm still quite tired as I'm trying to adjust to the new thyroid levels. But I'm going to try and do another live in the middle of the week, because I know that everybody loves these lives. Don't forget to thumb me up, and let's all be healthy and stay safe. Okay? And I will see you by the latest next Sunday. If not, look forward for the egg tutorial, and hopefully I'll be able to do another live during the week. Okay, have a wonderful Sunday. Goodbye. I love you all.